We're live. Hello, everyone.
How's it
All
going?
right.
So, should we wait a few
Happy
minutes?
all-time high day. Woo!
Right, yeah, seriously. Huh.
Green Day.
Yeah, we'll just stall until like 4:05. Could let people get in here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna check right now.
I don't think anyone was expecting a new all-time high today. I think everyone was caught off guard. I was kind
I'm
of,
telling you, it was whiplash for me. Like I,
yeah,
I, I went and grabbed lunch. I was like, okay, cool, new all-time high at 12,000, what, 700 or whatever. I was like, hell yeah. And
Yeah.
then I eat, and I'm like, what, 14? When the hell did that happen? This
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah. I think I was talking by a sidebar with them, and then when I stepped into my desk, I'm like, whoa! It's like went up 1,000 in like a minute.
yeah.
Still,
Yesterday's like a new all-time high was like, oh, okay, a few $100 above the last one, but this one's like a real. This is a genuine all-time high, right? Like you're all like, whoa.
Yeah.
and I get like the higher it gets, these $1,000 swings are gonna less and less like meaningful because like percentage wise,
Right.
but every $1,000 means something to me.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, we got 16 people in the chat.
All right, so anyone that's in the queue, we're gonna get started with our chat in a couple of minutes, just giving time for people to get in here. Feel free to share the link. If you have questions already, go ahead and message them, and we can answer those as soon as we get started.
I'm just gonna-
I'll just give it till 5 after. Does that sound all right?
Sure. Like a couple minutes more.
No.
Cool.
Did you guys go touch green for Green Day?
Yeah.
Yeah. We were saying we should all go have lunch on the grass since it's a Green Day.
That's a good idea.
Just need ETH fees to come down so I can take out bigger loans. That's what Green Days mean to me.
Love that.
Yeah. Number sell. Just borrow off it.
Borrow it.
Each all-time high is like, yeah, more.
Borrowing power has increased.
Yep.
I still need to try to borrow my first like play with borrowing and all. I mean, I guess
I got to show you right
leverage.
after that.
Yeah, so I guess.
Yeah, it's if you're doing like all the other advanced stuff, this won't be easy for you. Man.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but I guess perpetuals is technically borrowing, but not really though, right?
Well, I mean, next time I'm in town, I can walk you through it if you have questions.
For the fun of it,
I'll be there in August.
I'll borrow something.
Awesome. Wanna get
Yeah, let's go. You ready?
Excuse me.
Is it 5 after for you guys? I was just waiting until 5, but I guess that's almost arbitrary. All right, cool. So, all right, so we're back with another Spaces. If for those that don't know, I'm Michael, head of the support team. I'm joined by RJ, head of QA, and one of our support agents, Alberto. Um, he's fantastic. Newer to the team, he helps with QA as well. Um,
QA support.
and then as far as anything else you want to say about yourselves, your role, what you want to talk about today?
Well, just about Edge. So, if you don't know what Edge is a non-custodial, privacy-focused wallet platform with multi-asset support. We've been around since 2014 as Airbits and later rebranded as Edge. So, we're trying to make a dent big into privacy.
I'm just happy to be here, but I'm coming up on a year working at Edge. I'm being told to scoot in a little bit. Sorry. Not just like hey. Okay, back a little bit.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, just been working at Edge for a year now. I'm really happy just being here, being part of the team. And I'm also happy that I kind of planted the seed for SUI, in a sense, or I just was the first one to like bring it up or mention it in my mind. At least I'm gonna claim that.
SUI is in the app because of Alberto. You heard it here.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So before we dive into SUI, which is our topic today, kind of want to just go over our last event, just to kind of touch on it. If you were here early, you heard us talking about borrowing against crypto and things like that. When I was in town, just was that last week? Man, time flies like crazy. we had Ben Sigmund in from Libra who went over a new protocol for borrowing against Bitcoin, where you actually submit native Bitcoin, and then you can borrow on the Libra network, or I guess actually it's Ethereum using the Libra network, USDT. It's a newer project. It only launched, I believe, in May. So worth checking out if you have Bitcoin you want to borrow against. Again, that's Libra, Libre. Worth checking out. It was a really good presentation. I'm a huge advocate for borrowing against your assets instead of selling them. I think that's just advisable overall, so that when you have a pump like this, you can be excited instead of dreading the fact that you sold at 110 and didn't hold till 114.
Yep.
So if you have questions about that, borrowing and things like that, it's not really we're not going to go too deep today, but I'm totally down to do a spaces in the future about it. It's something that I do. I know RJ's into it as well. Or if you just have general questions and want to reach out to our support team, do that as well. Support@edge.app. You can message us on Signal, Edge14. More than happy to field questions about borrowing against crypto. It's not something that's native to Edge, but we can get you there with Wallet Connect and things like that.
Yep.
And then let's see. So as far as SUI, I mean, we can dive right into that if you guys want to start talking about SUI.
Yeah, so SUI is a new asset that we've recently added earlier in the year. Actually, we've been trying to add it for quite a while, even before Alberto was here. I would try to apply for the grants back in, I think, 2022 or 23 to try to get help to build and support SUI on Edge, but that didn't pan out. It was not until after Alberto joined the team, kept pushing, let's get SUI in, regardless of the grant funding and whatnot. And yeah, long story short, we got SUI in. A lot of push from Alberto, so thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm glad there was already kind of to hear you guys were thinking about it, because it shocked me that we hadn't added it in a sense, because I there was so much buzz around it already in a sense. I know Solana was like the new shiny thing, but like SUI was catching a lot of I would hear it everywhere. I would hear it, and I started using it. I'm like, yeah, this is a solid network. So
For those that are not initiated, what is SUI? What is the appeal?
I mean, it's a good question in general. Like, why do we really need another smart contract platform? When you have Solana and you have Ethereum, and Ethereum's been upgrading itself, so it's really all you would need, right? But I guess like anything else, technology is constantly evolving and changing, and it's like, why wouldn't you just stay on an Atari instead of hop on a PlayStation 5? Like, Atari does everything that a PlayStation 5 does, so to speak. And this analogy is that it's literally a next generation platform that's even faster somehow than Solana and Ethereum, which already seem really fast or fast enough, right? But it does feel like the Web 2 experience. It's when you're signing contracts, when you're minting NFTs, when you're getting an airdrop, whatever it is. Even on Solana, you might spin a few times, and you don't really notice it as a user. But on SUI, it has such like fast finality. Like literally, the transactions finish so fast that it's like literally a click of a button, and you notice that as a user. That's what caught my eye at first, because I've used many different platforms, and I'm like, this is very smooth. Like most of the others are smooth, but like, this is extremely smooth. Yeah. And then I started researching the team, and the team's like very interesting, and they have like a great background as far as like being developers and like working for Apple and then Facebook.
Yeah, I remember I heard like they were the same team that did Libra, like
Right.
Facebook's crypto,
Right.
back in the day,
Right.
and then they eventually shut or
Yeah.
abandoned the project.
And,
Right?
like yeah,
So
and,
that's-
say which like depends on which camp you're in, but like
Okay.
it was still a very seasoned team. I guess you're like, oh, it's a Facebook centralized chain. Who wants that? Totally agreed on that part. But the team still has talent, and they created a new programming language, which is another reason like why I care about SUI. Right? Move is this new language. Ethereum's written, I think, in Solidity, and Solana's on Rust. Both of like Solidity being even more the most difficult, Rust being a little bit easier to deal with, as far as I know. Like, I'm not a developer, or like I don't work with code or anything like that, but just from reading, just from researching, ETH is pretty hard to work on. Plus the gas structure for devs is kind of difficult. Solana's a little easier, and then Move apparently is very easy to work with, and I think that's like great because we want to onboard right as much developers as we can so they can be as creative as they can to just make as much stuff as they can and not be not have an onboarding issue just because they have to learn a very difficult language, I guess. So that kind of attracted me as well.
So that attracted you. How did, like, whether it's you, Michael, or Roberto, like, how did you guys hear about SUI in the first place?
I was actually in a Solana Spaces on Twitter, like in 2021, 2022.
Yeah, and it's a lot of spaces.
In a Solana Spaces, and he's like, I know
Low
this,
places.
right, and like this guy literally,
Shitting.
this guy literally started this
Like
the
shilling,
sentence.
or
No, that's like it was like he was like, hey, I know this is a Solana space or whatever, but like he mentioned how he was in not Acapulco, in Cancun or whatever, Mexico, and he happened to be in the same resort as Sui, and he met the team just by accident, and like he was really impressed and how he saw how organized they were and just how they were doing it right, and he was impressed and like so since that space, it was in my mind like I have to check out Sui, and then I just forgot about it, and then I decided like whatever I had maybe heard about it again or whatever it was, and I went and did research, and now from then I was like, okay, this is a promising project. So it was literally that was the first time I heard about Sui. I think Michael heard it on a more interesting.
Yeah, I admittedly go on Twitch more than I should, given my, I guess my
Like
age.
most-
But
a lot of
whatever,
people,
age
yeah.
is just a number. I can go on Twitch and watch people play video games. But yeah, that's where I saw it. They were advertising pretty hard on Twitch across multiple of the streamers that I stumbled across. And then then it was kind of funny because like I heard about it on Twitch, and then your hire, you were talking about it. It's like, oh shit, I know them. Like I think you have like socks or something like that. I was like, oh, I know that.
We got lucky enough to work with like a branding ambassador with Sui. I'm not sure if she works there anymore, but she was awesome. She gave us all kinds of cool swag, I guess you would say, or just like Sui merch,
Yeah.
which is cool. Again, like they do marketing right, apparently, right? Because they reach someone on Twitch, which you would say is just a normie platform, a non-crypto platform, whatever you want to call it. That's big. That's using marketing correctly and almost like entering the legacy space, so to speak, like and onboarding users like that. That's I don't know. That's powerful. I think in a sense, like
I think it's I mean, it was pretty targeted though, if you think about it.
right.
Twitch is geared towards gaming, and if that's their in, then if you're trying to capture new people and not just more of the same people looking for meme coins and things like that to invest in, it kind of was targeted and it's smart. Like I'll give credit where it's due. That was a smart advertising campaign.
Yeah.
yeah, different demographic.
No, I think it's part of their branding, right? Like their Mistin Labs. I never got to play the game, but I always knew about it as a kid, like Mist or whatever. Yeah, I would see it like on magazines, like, and I always wanted to play it. So like they're old school gamers, and then they actually aren't just saying they're game centric chain or whatever, or they're focused on gaming. Like they put out hardware. They put out the Sui Play or the Sui OX1, which I pre-ordered. I think it's gonna come in September. So I've been waiting it since like last year. So it's been a while, but hopefully, it gets released. I don't know what to think about it, but it's similar to something like a Steam Deck, which I like. That's the best comparison, and it will compete with the market, like a Steam Deck market, but it will be enable crypto transactions. It'll be like completely interfacing with the Sui network, and that has me excited because it's like they're
If people,
actually.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
no,
I was
worries.
gonna say,
No, yeah.
for those that don't know what a Steam Deck is, it's like a Game Gear or a handheld physical device. Michael has
Yeah,
one.
Michael has one. I've
Yeah.
never played. I'm excited. I've never had one.
Yeah.
So, Steam Deck,
Cool.
like
Yeah,
this.
yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
Sui's building something like that, and that's coming out in September.
Yeah, that's according to one of their founders. Like recently, I was looking through Twitter. Yeah, September is the day, so hopefully September I'll have.
What I was going to ask is, yeah, if people were interested in checking out the hardware, do you know where they can go?
Probably on the Twitter. Sui Play is
Sui
you can
Play?
just search Sui Play. I think it's called the OX1, or just go on the main page. I'm sure you'll see something about it.
If I wanted to order one, are they still doing pre-orders, or is it already like sold out? You're out of luck.
I think they sold out. I don't know anymore though. You might want to check on the Sui Play website, but I think they're sold out.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
they are. They weren't for a while. Like you can get one up until recently, and they might have finally like closed off the deadline.
Interesting.
Let's see. Oh, you know, I wanted to go back because there was a question I wanted to ask, and we just started riffing. You said transaction times are fast on SUI. What does that mean in comparison to like ETH's 12 seconds?
Um, like sub-second finality, all right? It's something I had to kind of learn about because of SUI was like there's TPS transaction like transactions per second, right? It's a typical metric we hear about. Like their TPS for SUI is like 100K. Solana's I think was at like 60K for a while. They might be scaling up to 400K with Fire Dancer or something like that. But TPS is a good metric for speed, but it's not necessarily like the best or there's more other metric which is like finality.
Hmm.
And SUI's finality which means like when is the contract signed, when is it done and over? I guess there's probably a
And
better
the
way to
network
explain that.
agrees that it happened. That's
Yeah,
that's
right. No,
finality. Yeah.
non-reversible type of thing, right? Is like sub-seconds, like which is like what the like it's pretty insane. Like sub-seconds, less than a second, and you feel that as a user for sure. When you start thinking about gaming and signing, hundreds of transactions in a game
Yeah.
potentially within a few hours, like you're
Yeah,
like,
like you're trading them.
yeah,
Or
you
do
need
like many actions
right.
or
You
logging
need a
everything.
smooth, right,
Yeah.
seamless experience. Like it for gaming, that's going to require that. So I think that's cool.
That's funny. That kind of reminds me of when some gaming came out in Ethereum, like in 2021. I was experimenting, like you grow plants. I forgot the name of this game, but you grow plants, and then every time you did an action, you would have to sign a transaction. It was like $2, $5 of fees, and you're growing plants,
That's pretty painful.
and then
Yeah.
after you want to harvest the plant, you got to pay transaction fees on it too. It was just so incredibly slow
Yeah.
and expensive.
Was it an idle game too? I think.
Yeah, it's like a farming kind of game. It's like something like from Facebook that it looks like.
Right.
Yeah,
I played an idle game called The Heist. I think it was on Solana, and it's great. Great chain, still very fast. But even then, I would still have some like with a bunch of people using the app. Every once in a while, I'll just spin
Yeah.
and spin and
Yep.
spin. I'm like, it would just not be the best experience. But when it worked all great, it was fast and nice. But like, even an idle game that's not even a shooter per se or whatever it might be, an RPG, like was having issues on Solana. So like, granted, they've gotten better. That was a long time ago, but it's just you need a very fast chain, I think.
So with a lot of the newer chains, it's not all roses. So what are some of the weaknesses that you can talk about as far as SUI is concerned?
Well, like I think the biggest one is like the exploit. Well, that's not the chain though, right? I guess, but
Yeah, that's like the platform itself on. Yeah, the
right.
chain.
I don't know if maybe
Yeah.
we should save that for like a little bit later in the conversation. But as far as the tech goes, I don't. I don't know if I'm skilled enough to be like, this is what's not good about it.
Sure.
Um,
Well, I mean, I guess one of the questions that I have, because full transparency for anyone watching, I don't know much about SUI. I should. I work at Edge. I work in support.
but
But
you're
we
he's a
have
big
a
one.
lot of networks, and we have experts like Alberto. So I offload some of my knowledge. Um, so when it comes to,
I get to all the talking points, right? But there's got to be someone who's more skilled and be like, you know what? When you compare the languages and
well, something that I'd wonder as far as weaknesses. It has full token support, right? By the nature of it being.
Yeah.
it's a total
Um,
smart contract, NFTs, all that.
Does it have all the stables? Does it have, the things that people care about?
Yeah, which I would say it's a strength. USDC is arguably one of the stronger stablecoin companies when it comes to stablecoins, and the fact that if US Circles is minting USDC on SUI, which they are, like very early on they were, it just you look at the chains that where USDC Circles is messing with, and it's typically more robust, like healthy ecosystems that they tend to mint USDC on strong ecosystems. Basically, is what I'm saying. Um, I think that was a plus, a huge plus, because it's like, yeah, I don't want to go on a chain and not touch a stable coin. Sometimes you just need to go into a stable coin. Borrowing, right? Apparently,
Oh, I'm all in on USDC,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's
very
yeah.
dependent upon stable coins. So that attracted me. Like some coins, I mean, certain networks are gonna say they're fast and this and that, and like if they don't have a good stable coin, you're like, what am I? Like what are we gonna? I don't know.
It's like where's like the exit also.
Yeah, where's the exit? There's a lot of just like how's DeFi gonna work? Like I don't know. Just say what you will about stablecoins, but they are kind of important.
No, I mean, yeah, for today's market, you kind of need them for buying and selling, and love or hate Coinbase. It's a very popular asset on that platform.
Right, and I get it. They're censored. They're they can be stopped. They're they don't necessarily fit the mold of what crypto is, or like, but they have a utility and a use.
Um, as far as like SUI's longevity, I know I forget how long ago this was, but we had Aptos at Edge. This is a curveball. We didn't talk about this earlier, but I got thinking about it. Do you see any reason that Aptos could put SUI on the back seat, or are they not actually competitors?
I don't want to throw shade at any project. Like I don't. Uh, I would say the numbers kind of speak for themselves, and I don't see Aptos closely as far as like users probably, but I mean I couldn't, I would have to really look at the close numbers, but it feels like Sui's farther along as far as like being adopted, being a household name, like having good tech, having a really solid team, having like huge investors in it, and like Grayscale isn't really interested in Sui. They're constantly tweeting out like stuff about Sui, which is really interesting. It feels like Aptos might be just a few paces behind. Same language, same tech, essentially. It's not much different, but you start to look at the team and all that. Not to say Aptos' team isn't like full of like great people too, but when you really start to look at Sui's team, you're like, oh, this is a very well put together project, and I think they're kind of ahead.
Yeah, name, team, and marketing seem to be really the only difference. Otherwise, it's
Yeah.
more or less the same chain, right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I just wondered. Aptos was something that when they gave the presentation, I found it interesting, and I thought it was neat that SUI was pretty much the same chain. So yeah, I just wanted to get your opinion on: is there going to be a collision there, or is SUI just so focused on like gaming and Aptos is doing, I think, finance? Am I correct on? I think they're doing like real estate or something.
Yeah, I think, and the Aptos guys spoke, fondly of Sui. Like, there's no like beef or like
Yeah.
like hatred. They're not like boy bands or something like that, right? But I think Sui's pivoting more game centric, and I think Aptos was more like like DeFi and something
Financial
else.
apps.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, they're not, from what the Aptos guy was speaking. I can't remember off the top of my head his name. Sorry, but yeah, he two different lanes, so to speak.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Very very similar move program language, but two different like lanes.
We have
All right.
two questions in the chat.
Cool.
Okay.
So the first one is how much TVL of stables does SUI have? And then the next one is, does Edge support any staking opportunities for SUI?
That's a good one. Off the top of my head, I can't. The TVL is very large. It's not as big as like, let's say, like Solana's or Ethereum's. And I keep seeing like on Twitter like, oh, it's the TVL has gone up this much and much. It keeps growing. It's a very the DeFi is growing. I don't know the number off the top of my head.
1.7 billion.
1.7. But do we know what Solana is? It's like
As a comparison.
Compared to
Seven,
Solana,
and-
Solana's sitting at 8.6 billion.
8.
Oh, so about
So,
8x.
so that's so 8. Yeah. So that gives you, and then ETH is like
Probably
probably
double-digit
yeah.
billions.
Oh, ETH, yeah. I mean, you can't compare to ETH. I don't even have to look that up, but that's going to be very, very
And I
high.
remember when I started watching Sui's TVL, it was like 800 million. I was like, oh, we reached a billion. It was like a milestone.
Milestone, yeah.
But since then, I kind of stopped watching it or whatever. But 1.5 is still growing. So
I guess just for fun, I did plug it in. Ethereum TVL is 69 billion.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, it's way up there.
And then the staking question, I think too. That's my hope, is that we eventually will support native staking for SUI. Right now, the answer is no. We don't support staking for SUI.
I'll
But
say this, we have a couple of tasks up that we're prioritizing, so
Right.
possibly in the near future.
yeah, because I really do. Yeah, I want to stake my
Yeah.
SUI.
I don't
You know, something to always remember about Edge.
That's on it, yeah.
Yeah.
If we have the demand, we can prioritize things with the demand of our users. We want to have everything in Edge that we can. Prioritization with our small team becomes partly based on community reaching out to us. If we get support tickets or a bunch of X comments like, "Hey, when are you going to have this?" That does help. So, voice what you want in Edge. It's very, very important.
Yes, and leave questions, comments, anything. This is your time to talk with the Edge team, so drop your questions in the chat.
How did you hear about City? I'm curious.
Okay, so
Before,
yeah.
you wrote about the grant, so you actually heard about really
before that,
early.
so, there was, so, Michael knows this user, so, and he turned out, we become good friends. Keith is an Edge user, and he would call constantly or reach out and support, asking Edge to support SUI.
That's cool.
Yeah, so
So
I
Keith-
started researching
Shout
about
out
SUI.
Keith then, apparently.
Yeah, I started researching about SUI. Paul wanted to see if they have any like grants or like milestone like funding, that type of stuff. So I started doing research, and I saw on the SUI foundation that they had grants available. So applied to those, but I believe at the time they were more for funding infrastructure rather than wallets.
Right.
So hence we didn't get it to try to get SUI supported even like say 2 years ago, even earlier. But yeah, that's how I heard about SUI. A user from Edge kept calling about getting SUI added.
God,
And
I
then
wish that's so cool, man. I wish I
Yeah.
would have been. I would have heard about
I
City
heard-
way earlier then.
Yeah.
That's wow.
So,
And you didn't look into it. You didn't like. Let me start experimenting a little bit. Let me.
just a little bit,
A little
yeah,
bit.
but not too much. I'm always like into blue chips, Bitcoin.
Right. That's just the
yeah.
hard. But you could have picking up City like at 10 cents.
Yeah, I think it was
30
a little
cents.
over 30 cents at the time.
30
when,
cents, yeah.
Keith was talking
All
about
the
it.
time high was like $5, like which is
Yeah.
nice. Yeah. It's like at 3 right now or like something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like close to 4, like maybe 360.
Its price performance is actually pretty impressive, to be honest. Like it has good tokenomics, I think, as far as like unlocks and all that.
Speaking of staking, do you remember SUI staking? Does it have locks or is it
That's a good point.
time locked?
I
Like Cardano without
I
locks?
have yet to like I use other SUI wallets, but I have yet to stake any SUI. That's a good
Okay.
question. I've staked Wall, which is their other big kind of project on SUI is Walrus. It's a decentralized storage, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
super important in a sense with like gaming. And their staking is like did have an epoch unlock. It was like 3 days for the epoch to finish, and then you can get your Walrus back. But I haven't staked SUI. I don't know if it has a lock update.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
So if you will definitely revisit.
Yeah, I gotta I don't
But
know.
the other decentralized filing, is that like a token on SUI or a different,
Which one?
the one you just mentioned?
Walrus or
Yeah,
Wall?
Walrus, or
So it has its own
it's its own chain or-
storage. No, it's a token, but it's a storage protocol.
Yeah,
And the token is like you lock it up, and then that helps like something with the storage, like security or something like that, and it gives like voting rights as well. But it's just a token on SUI.
okay.
Yeah,
got it.
and then a storage protocol.
Yeah, so it sounds maybe similar to your like Filecoin like storage.
Yeah, and the pricing is similar to actually Google Drive. Like it's actually competitive to what's out there already, which is kind of nice. And that's something I think we need to hopefully work on. Is right now we only have USDC on SUI, but like there's Walrus would be a good ad.
Yeah,
There's a few like liquid staking tokens like Hadel. I think that would be a good ad. And just
You mean as default?
yeah, as
Yeah.
You know,
default,
you can
yeah.
always add custom.
Right,
Yeah,
you don't have
Right,
custom-
but as
there is
default.
full support. Yeah,
Yeah, full. Like yeah.
which that's a not to reveal too much how the sausage is made, but that's a simple task over to Jared. So probably get those added.
Shout out Jared.
Yeah.
you got the
Um,
SUI logo on there or the
So Marty will
USDC.
probably take point, compile
Yeah.
of SUI tokens.
Yeah,
and
no,
pass it to
I think
Jared.
I might have already. Yeah, I
Oh,
might have
okay.
grabbed even like some of the stuff from like CoinMarketCap and even like the decimals and all that.
Nice.
So, I had mentioned the weaknesses of the chain, and you said not to get to it, but I see this long blob of a talking point, and for anyone that knows anything about SUI, the CETUS, what is it, hack, I guess? I'm not sure what it would actually call, exploit. Could be a pain point for people that want to get into it. So can we talk about just a little bit of like why that actually wasn't SUI to blame? First off, it wasn't. I know that, but let's explore that a little bit. Kind of similar to how people look at FTX and go, "Well, I'm never touching Bitcoin," which obviously had nothing to do with Bitcoin at all.
Yeah, so it was just,
This feels similar enough to that. So let's explore that a little bit.
yeah. This is more like on the platform CETUS, not, SUI chain having some kind of bug or something bad with it, but the platform CETUS, which has, like, I think, lending and liquidity providing, where there was a security flaw, and basically a bunch of those tokens got depegged from like the real assets. So like whether it was it like USDC and some other assets that on Citus it got depegged and the actual price. So unless you are a user on that DApp platform on SUI, then yeah, you would have risked losing a lot of funds. But if you just use SUI on its own, like you were likely not affected.
So
It,
we kind of jumped a little bit. What exactly was Cetus? So is that a DeFi protocol running
that's
on
their
it?
main text.
Yeah.
That's their
Okay.
main. Yeah, I think they're so like the radium, so to speak,
Yeah,
of you know
Solana.
of yes of Sui, like that's Cetus, like because they have a bunch of other dexes. I think they have like turbos and they have Scallop, and but this is like their main one, like the main where like most tokens like go to put LPs in, and it was scary. It was pretty crazy to see like just they were all gone. All the LP was gone, and like you would go on Dex Screener and like every chart was just sank. Like it was they all went to like close to zero essentially, and like everyone from the meme coins to actual legitimate projects, like it was insane. And like the deck screener, even the page even got eventually got taken down, and then they so the team handled it well, but it was still scary. Again, so yeah, emphasis on it wasn't the Sui architecture or chain like being exploited. It was some kind of Oracle exploit or something like that, some or related to the decks. But Sui Foundation essentially made everyone whole. They were able to again centralize USD. I think it was USDC that they were able to pull out of the LPs, the
Hmm.
liquidity pools, and they were able to, I think, able to freeze that, or there was like the validators came to a consensus, which is kind of also controversial. I think that if I can remember off the top of my head, I can't. I think it was the
Yeah,
yeah,
validators.
it was the validators, yeah.
So they,
So that was kind of controversial, but they all voted. So it's like you can debate
Pause.
that back and forth as far as centralization and control, but the argument is that they came to a consensus to stop bad actors. They stopped the funds. Most of the funds got stopped, and what was paid back was like I forgot exactly. It was like 200 million got taken or something like that. Where was it? 200,
In the notes,
220 million, but it was only 60 million they had to pay back because 60 million was what actually left the ecosystem.
mm,
So the Sui Foundation lent Cetus money. So I'm assuming now the Cetus team has to pay that back or whatever, however that works.
Yeah.
So it was handled well, but it's still pretty scary stuff.
It looks like
and
did
they
a-
never caught the whoever exploited it.
Yeah, that's a good question. I
No.
haven't followed up on seems like no, because they probably sent it to a mixer, whatever it might have been.
Yeah. It looks like they
So-
have a balance.
Just as a reminder, wasn't Sui, just the decks. I know a lot of people conflate the two.
And-
I always think of FTX in this regard, whereas like people just conflate that. It's just not. It's not the same thing.
Right.
Um,
Well, ironically, FTX invested in Solana and Sui, so it's just like I always laugh at that because I'm like, that's so funny, like you can't always. But it's just a reminder that always it's just a risk. There's always a risk. Everything's a risk in crypto. Like even just holding it in a wallet somehow, the least risky thing can still be a risk. So it's just a reminder, like things aren't perfect. We're in the early stages, and stuff's gonna happen. Like it just is.
all right. Well, we're kind of running up on the half hour. So, anything else about Sui or?
Yeah. Any more questions out there?
Final opportunity to ask your questions, friends. If anybody wanted to, is brand new to SUI, has no idea what it is, what would you recommend for their first step to be to learn more?
Go add LP to see this. No, I'm just kidding.
No, don't do that.
No,
Yeah.
just kidding. Try the staking out. Let me know what the unlock is. Definitely go look at a Walrus protocol because that's their biggest project on Sui. Look into the Sui play. Even if you can't order one, you can go look at it. It looks actually legitimate and promising. And
I did drop a note in the Riverside chat. It is sold out. I did look and check.
Okay.
I will say the device looks cool as hell.
It really does.
Look cool.
It does, and the trailer looks really interesting.
Yeah.
It looks really good, cosmetically nice. There's liquid staking. There's all kinds of stuff on Sui that's worth checking out. I've been looking at Hadel. It's kind of a weird Haedal. It's an otter Hadel
Yeah.
liquid staking protocol. It's doing really well right now. Maybe go check that out. Yeah, just check out Dex Screener and then see what else is going on. Stay away from the meme coins, though. To be honest, just always do that.
No, not financial advice.
Yeah. No. Well,
You do
yeah,
you.
none of it's financial advice. Yeah, and I'm excited for the SUI play. That's what I've been waiting a long time to get that in my hand. So September, hopefully the team doesn't let me down. We'll see though.
Yeah, we'll maybe do a demo, like if we
Yeah.
have another talk
Yeah,
in
yeah, I'm
September, we'll do a
definitely.
demo of the
Yeah.
device if you have
That'll
it
be
then.
fun. Absolutely.
That'll be cool. So yeah, I guess I'll just close it out. So upcoming events, looks like we will have another Bob meetup in Edge offices here in San Diego. Not yet finalized, but we're hoping to have one sometime in August. And then we have another round of spaces, just like this, same day, same time. So that'll be on July 24th, Thursday at 1 with the Xano team. So this time we're going to talk about Xano. So yeah, follow us on X. If you have any questions or feedback, just reach out to us, send us a tweet, reach out to us, support@edge.app. Yeah,
Cool.
Awesome.
cool.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
There it is.
Later, guys.
Have a good one.